Fam, what's going on? It's Kyle Henderson coming to you from beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico on December 18th. Give me a roll tide inside the comment box. I appreciate you guys joining me. This is a huge weekend of news coming up, and the news is so fluid. Things are changing, things are happening, and we are going to talk about the headlines that are circulating around the Alabama Crimson Tide in college football. So today I will take your calls 205 850-1994 is the call online number. There's a lot to dive into as Nick Saban continues to build this class of 2024. Look at transfer portal targets. And also, guess what? Coach Saban is also busy because he has something coming up. It's called the playoffs, right? And Alabama is getting ready to take on number one ranked Michigan in the Rose Bowl. So let me set the stage for you guys. I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico. No, I did not hit the transfer portal. I am visiting my family. I'll be live during the regular times all this week and as major news happens. And then from here, I am going to the Rose Bowl out in Pasadena. So I appreciate you guys' continued support. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, the super chats. And if you want to become a fan funder of this YouTube channel, go up to the top, hit the hyperlink. And I appreciate all your guys' contributions to this channel. We're pretty close to 100,000 subscribers. I'm hoping that it hits before December 31. That would be pretty cool. So I appreciate you. I see you guys inside the comment box. Lila, Mary, Tom Milrow. I love the avatar. Jarvis, what's up, my boy? Jarvis, could you give us some updated lines for the Rose Bowl and for the Sugar Bowl? So when you guys call into the show, I want to get on the back end. You know, if you have thoughts on recruiting or whatever, I'll take them 100%. But I want to get the X factors for the Rose Bowl. And then I want you to pick Washington or Texas, and then we'll keep receipts and we'll come back later on and we will look at those picks to start the new year. So again, Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. I have a couple callers inside the call queue. I have 256 and 205, and it looks like we have Demetrius as well. But let me talk about a couple items from the transfer portal real quick because it's so fluid. And sometimes, even by the time I cut this video and by the time you see it, things have changed. So, for example, and this always happens to me, not that the world, revolves around me in any sort of fashion. It's just this is the world I live in and it always happens because news always breaks. So, the transfer portal, for example. So, I get on the airplane and this was Friday night. I'm coming into New Mexico and I see that Elijah Pritchett, it's a transfer portal. And I'm like, no way. And then Ja'Cory Brooks committed to Louisville. So, things were happening and I'm in the airplane, whatever. And the last time when I flew to Tampa, that's when they named Tyler Buckner the starting quarterback of Alabama. So, these were big pieces of news that happen when I'm on an airplane. Okay, so the first thing, and I talked about this a little bit before, Ja'Cory Brooks going to Louisville. I think it's great for him. I think Louisville is absolutely getting a great upgrade for the Louisville Cardinals. And you look to Louisville, they're playing the ACC championship game this last year. So, we wish him well. And he caught for over 800 yards here at the University of Alabama. I think it's a much better get for them than Alabama getting Tyler Harrell. Remember when Tyler Harrell came over from Louisville to Alabama? I think he had some injuries and was just never able to crack the field. So I think Ja'Cory Brooks is a really great get for Louisville. And then with Elijah Pritchett, he entered the NCAA transfer portal, and then he takes his name out of the NCAA transfer portal less than 24 hours. And I thought that would probably happen. If you watch that video that I cut, I was saying I wouldn't be surprised if he does take his name out of the transfer portal because it doesn't make sense. He's a redshirt freshman. Okay, so Caden Proctor beat him out, this past year. Competition is a good thing. We've seen this happen before. You rewind. Remember, there was a time where Malachi Moore was beat out by Brian Branch, right? And at first it was Malachi Moore, and then Brian Branch beat him out. And then look where Malachi Moore is right now in his career. So just because you're beat out one specific time, you're always if you're in that too deep at the University of Alabama, just sit tight. And I know it's hard because the transfer portal is right there. There's all these NIL deals, and I want to talk about the transfer portal and how it's been impacted by name, image, and likeness as well. So if you're out there and you're going to call on the show, I want to get your take on that because, man, things are crazy. Things are moving at such a quick pace. This is the most exciting time for college football probably ever. The one thing that I was thinking about the transfer portal is a guy like Kyle McCord from Ohio State. He hits a transfer portal, and then he was going to go to Nebraska, and things were totally trending towards Nebraska, and now he's going to Syracuse. And we're going to talk about a transfer target that just recently visited Alabama, and that's Fidel Diggs. It looks like he's kind of trending towards Syracuse as well. You're like, what, Syracuse? What type of money do they have out there in terms of the name, image, and likeness? But hey, this exists. Okay, you also had another piece of transfer portal news when it comes to the Alabama Crimson Tide, and that's Anquan Barnes, and he is going to Colorado. Now, that makes two transfers from Alabama to Colorado within the last 2 seasons, because you had Demoy Kennedy last year hit the transfer portal and went to Colorado, and now you have Anquan Barnes going to Colorado. So Coach Prime is still getting his. He's built up that offensive line with Colorado moving to the Big 12. Curious to see how it shakes out. So I appreciate you guys joining. If you guys are just joining the show, hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys being here on the show. And as we kind of turn the page to the class of 2024 in this recruiting class, it's a really solid class, and I think it's spearheaded by the fact that you have your 5-star quarterback, and you have another 5-star in Jalen Mbakwe. I look at those as kind of the foundational pieces of this team, and those guys are going to be to early enroll next Wednesday, which is amazing. Imagine coming from high school, then early enrolling, and then going to the Rose Bowl, because those guys can practice in the Rose Bowl, which is amazing. So will Alabama pick up a defensive lineman? That's one of the things that everybody is talking about, whether from the transfer portal or from the class of 2024. So you have the Canadian prospect, Steve Mombaugh, who's a 4-star out of Quebec City. We're still trying to track, where things are going to happen for him. Recently was at Mississippi State. He's another guy that will enroll early. So things are, they're probably looking pretty good for Alabama. Alabama's going to take one of these defensive linemen. You got to think. Ja'Shawn Ross is another guy that Alabama certainly has their eye on. He's another guy that will enroll early. He's out of Kansas City, Missouri. And those are two guys, as we kind of get to the stretch, there's going to be a lot of conversation about those two guys, because Alabama does have to pick up someone from the defensive line, whether that's an edge rusher or somebody on the defensive side. We are waiting on Favor Edwin. He's the big 6'8" offensive tackle who will also enroll early. Now, things are certainly trending for him, and we're just kind of waiting on an announcement. Will that come on signing day? I don't know, but it looks like if we're certainly looking for a lock to come to Alabama, then it's Favored Edwards. And again, are there such things as locks at this point of time of season? I would say no. So who knows? It's all fluid, but we'll keep you posted. Getting Edwin would be, I think, a slam dunk for Alabama. I don't really look at the 3-star. I look at the fact that he's 6'8", 300 pounds. He looks athletic to me, and I think once you get him in the system, it's more about the developmental process for this particular product. Some 5-star visitors were in town this past weekend in Tuscaloosa. One of the surprises that was Edric Houston. He's a 5-star defensive lineman, but he's committed to Ohio State. And look, these guys are going to take all of their visits. Even Ryan Williams, who's a solid to Alabama, just said that he's going to enjoy the recruiting process. And why wouldn't they? If they get to go to Clemson or Alabama or these other big-time programs and enjoy the process with their family, I think they should. So Edric Houston was also in town. But one of the more interesting names to me this past weekend was the number 1 overall player in America from the class of 2025, Bryce Underwood, was in town in Tuscaloosa as well. What does it mean? It's meaning that he's enjoying the recruiting process as well. But it is also interesting that he's coming around this time when, he's starting to prep for the Rose Bowl, and you get to see what it's like preparing for the playoffs. Not a lot of teams can say that. And Nick Saban can certainly show you all the guys that went to the first round and kind of show you, where things stand from the quarterback position. Now, I know you guys want to talk about the quarterback position because you have Jalen Milroe at one side, the Heisman favorite, and then you have Julian Sain on the back end. So talk about competition at the quarterback spot. Okay, a couple more things I want to get to before I take you guys' calls. The 2024 running back, Alabama certainly has to take one. Who will it be? Kevin Riley, who is from Tuscaloosa County, or is it going to be Jordan Baugh, who is a commit to Arkansas? Those are kind of some guys that we're looking at, as well as Daniel Hill. And I like Kevin Riley right out of Tuscaloosa County. It's not far from Alabama, but I get it. Sometimes you want to spread your wings and fly. And then also, I think what makes it difficult for a prospect, if you are a running back or a quarterback specifically, is if you look at Alabama's current depth chart at those two positions, right? Because you look to the quarterback, you're like, well, Jalen's coming back. Then you have Julian Sain. If I'm sandwiched in the middle, you also have Ty Simpson, Dylan Lonergan, Eli Holsting, right? Like those guys are set at quarterback. And then from running back, you don't know know which guys are going to leave Alabama because both Jace and Roydell, who are seniors, guess what they have? The COVID year. So those guys could certainly come back if they want to. So theoretically, you could have Roydell Williams, Jam Miller, Justice Haynes, Richard Young, all back for the Alabama Crimson Tide. We haven't really heard anything if Alabama would take a prospect from the transfer portal at the running back spot. I know ATN went in the transfer portal, but I think Alabama is good at running back. I think they're good at quarterback, but you want to have some guys from the 2024 class to bring in, and I don't think it's over yet just with signing day. So if Alabama doesn't get a running back, which I think they will on signing day, it's not over because we don't know what's going to happen until the season is legitimately over. And as you know, when you follow Alabama, the season is not over probably till mid-January. So just hang tight on that regard. Okay, two more things that I want to talk about. Transfer portal targets that were in town this past weekend. You have Trey Moore, outside edge rusher from University of Texas San Antonio, and then Fadel Diggs, and then or Fadel Diggs, and then you also have LT Overton. Fadel Diggs and LT Overton, both from Texas A&M. It looks like Diggs is trending towards Syracuse, and it looks like Trey Moore is trending towards Texas. Those seem to be NIL deals, and I don't think Coach Saban has to shell out that type of money, if he doesn't want to. I mean, you guys, you certainly have prospects on the roster already who are probably already, eating up some of that NIL money, but are quality players. Keon Keeley, Yanzi Pierre, Quay Russo, who we haven't talked enough about. Those guys are sufficient to, step up and replace Dallas Turner and Chris Broswell. The whole thing with Perry Thompson and Ryan Williams, my goodness, has to be one of the biggest storylines that we've had in terms of in-state recruiting battles. Now, Ryan Williams is, of course, committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. He reclassified, big-time five-star wide receiver, was just the MVP of the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star game. Guys, he's seriously on fire. What did he have? 92 yards off 8 catches. He was the MVP. And then you have Perry Thompson, who is a complete baller as well. So Perry Thompson is committed to Auburn, but it looks like he could potentially, I don't know. Is he in Flip Watch? I have no idea. But he did certainly post a photo of Auburn and Alabama, and he said stay tuned to signing day. And Ryan Williams has said that he is committed to Alabama solid, but Auburn is like a full court press on him. And that it seems – I don't know if you know, but it seems to me that it's going to come down to NIL money for both of these guys. And that's kind of the world we live in. So that's kind of the wrap up as we go into Wednesday. And of course, I'll be live tomorrow, and I'm sure there will be a lot of news that changes between now and then. But with that said, I want to take your guys' calls, hit on any of the points. I appreciate you guys calling into the show. And let's start out with the 256. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where you calling in from?
This is Daryl from Huntsville.
Daryl, what's up, man? I appreciate you starting off the show, man. I have to ask you, this whole stuff with Ryan Williams and Perry Thompson, clearly these two guys can play at the next level, but, this whole, NIL, I think it's certainly impacted recruiting, and this is just the world we live on. What's your take on kind of the recruiting process between, Ryan and Perry Thompson, and how do you think it's going to eventually play out?
Well, unfortunately, Kyle, I think you've said and you've been right on with your comments. It's going to come down to money. End of story.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say if I was a high school kid, somebody was offering me $2 million, I wouldn't take it. I mean, that's money that you just can't just look at and say, well, not now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the long term, are you going to take $2 million and not be developed and go and get your money,
mm-hmm.
and the money's gone within the next 4 or 5 years because of your relatives and parents and their friends wanting this and wanting that?
Uh-huh.
Are you going to get generational money when you sign an NFL contract?
Mm-hmm.
So it comes down to you got to have a good camp. You got to have some stable parents, some stable advisors, somebody that you really believe in, somebody that's going to tell you the truth and shoot you straight. And that's what it's going to come down to. Who's going to shoot these guys straight, and who's going to be in their corner and not in the corner with their hands out.
And I think like it must be very tough at this current point in time for these prospects who are 17, 18, and specifically for their people, like you said, in their corner, because these short-term deals, can you imagine if, you're a well-to-do family, like middle class, whatever it is, and you get approached with like even $2 million. Like that is life-changing money immediately to think about. But the long term, as you said, like the developmental process, $2 million is not anything compared to a first-round draft pick, what they're going to get, or even second round or third round type money, right? So the long play is certainly better. But sometimes I think in life, I think even, as you grow up, thinking about the long term, it's hard because you can't always see. In the short term is kind of where things are happening in the world of college football. But this is the world that we live in. These guys, and with Auburn has, all the money in the world right now. We've talked about that plenty of times throughout the last couple of weeks. And Alabama does too. Mm-hmm. Alabama can give out money. They can, secure NIL deals. But I also think that Coach Saban is weary about doing that because, look, come over here, improve yourself. Right? Come over here and compete. And what does that say about you if you're only coming to a specific place at this age based off a short-term deal? And if you don't play right away, how is that going to impact your NIL deal, all this stuff? So there's so much to think about when it comes to NIL and how this has changed the game. What else are you thinking about as we kind of go towards the Rose Bowl or anything else recruiting, Daryl?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna use toward recruiting and the Rose Bowl. I'm going to use an example. About 20 years ago, a kid out of Cleveland was meeting with the executive of Nike and Adidas. Mm-hmm. And when he walked in the room, the Adidas people came up to him and gave him a $10 million check. Now, mind you, this guy is still living in the project at this time. And he told the guy who offered him a $10 million check, he said, "I'll tell you what we're going to do. Thank you for your offer, but we're going to listen to what everybody has to say." And that kid, of course, is LeBron James.
Wow. Yep.
So you got to have the right people in your corner. Kid also has to have a stable head himself.
Yep.
And LeBron made that right decision, and we see where he's almost a billionaire now.
That's wild. Yep.
And the Rose Bowl. Mm-hmm. The Rose Bowl. Right now, I imagine the head coach of Michigan is probably foaming at the mouth because he hates Nick Saban. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's no, they're gonna go through all the pleasantries, but again, he came down and opened camps and then tried to insinuate that there was a lot of things going on wrong at Alabama in the recruiting. Mm-hmm. So this is a grudge match, and I expect Michigan to come out and play their best. But I expect Alabama also to play their best because they're going to try to they're going to try to take Alabama's wheel by running the football. They want to run the football, mm-hmm. and everything else comes after that. Mm-hmm. And I think Alabama will be ready. I know we'll be ready, and I think that again they've come through some battles, and when you're battle tested, pretty much. You're ready to play anybody. You're ready to play the world. So yeah. I think Alabama will be victorious over Michigan. I'll say 31-17, and I think the Washington game.
Yep.
I keep telling people don't underestimate Washington. Now they're battle tested. Mm-hmm. They won a lot of games that they should have lost. And they know how to win late. Yep. So they're battle tested. And they also have a solid defense. They don't have they have a solid defense.
Yeah.
And so I would not be surprised to see Washington beat Texas. I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
So right now I consider that's a toss-up as far as I'm concerned.
All right, everyone inside the comment box, I have to ask you because Daryl brings up a really good point. He says that Alabama more battle-tested than Michigan, and I know this is an overwhelming Alabama fan base, but if you agree with that assessment that Alabama is more battle-tested than Michigan, post a elephant emoji inside the comment box right now. And Daryl, I think, when you look to Washington and Texas, Washington has been able to win games that have been on the road or down to the wire. And so has Texas. I was thinking about this recently. I just went to the New Mexico Bowl, by the way, and saw the New Mexico State Aggies struggle against Fresno State. It was a really cool setup, and I don't know if you guys saw the post-game press conference by Jerry Kill after. He was completely pissed off at the New Mexico AD because all that stuff. I mean, it's like it would be like Auburn playing a game at Bryant-Denny Stadium, right? And Greg Byrne not allowing them to use the indoor facility. That's basically like what happened. But Texas has been able to win games down the stretch as well. Like they should have lost to Kansas State, and that was all on Kansas State. And they should have lost to TCU. Those were both games that they won, but I think 3 points on the back end. But anyways, Daryl, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you for starting off the show. And as always, I'll be on live 9 a.m. Central Time all this week. So please call in. I really appreciate your dialogue. I know you bring a lot to the table. So thank you very much for calling in. I'm sure I'll catch up with you in the next couple of days.
All right. Thank you, Kyle, and always my pleasure.
Absolutely, man. All right. Take it easy. That's Daryl calling in, and I appreciate the leadoff call. We have 205 or 256, and then we have Demetrius, and the call-in line is certainly open. And I appreciate you guys calling in. We'll put the call-in line at the screen, 205-850-1994. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube, coming to you from beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico. Let me know if you've been to Santa Fe inside the comment box, or just New Mexico. I mean, a lot of the times, when you come from New Mexico to Alabama, I mean, talk about the culture change, but it's been great being a part of the SEC fabric, and I love going around to the different stadium elements. Like I was just at the New Mexico Bowl, as I said, and there was a pretty big turnout, and people were really excited. And not to say that, one thing is better than the other, but there was 32,000 people at this particular game at the Lobo Stadium, and it's beautiful. You can see the sunset on the back end. And I was thinking about it, 32,000, like at Bryant-Denny Stadium, get 100,000 people at the game, and then there's probably 50,000 tailgaters on the quad. So to see just the difference in level of football, and there certainly is a competitive difference in terms of the different conferences compared to the SEC, and I've talked about this before, with the SEC adding Oklahoma and Texas and all those big matchups that are coming, it makes the other conferences irrelevant other than the Big Ten, because the Big Ten was able to add Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA. But other than that, it's like the Big Ten now versus the SEC when we look to a different level of football. With that said, we'll move to our next caller, and we got a 205 calling in. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
This is Aaron from Nauvoo, Alabama.
What's up, Aaron? I appreciate you calling in, man. I hope you're having a good holiday season, man. Welcome to the show, man. Take it away.
I am, man. The other day I was the one that called in, and it was a bad background. Your face was like, oh, crap, get off the phone. But I was at work, and I couldn't catch you. I'm off today. That's why I called you.
You know what's crazy, Aaron? So one of the difficult things is having to make the call when there is a bad connection, because I'm more of a people pleaser, and I want to make sure that like everybody can get in. But I have to, for the sake of the show, be able to make that executive decision and be like, yo, call in again. This isn't a good connection, and like peace out. And I just hang up. But I appreciate that you have a solid.
You do a good job, though.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. So with that said, man, welcome to the show. Take it away.
Yeah, man. So I think it's just interesting that Buckner leaves, headed back up north with our signals, and here comes a Northerner down here with their signals. So that's just a little bit of a thought that I had. Like, why did Buckner really come to Alabama, other than it being Tommy Reese's boy from up there? Maybe give him a shot to see what he does. But I didn't – like, Saban personally recruited Miro. Last year, that Texas A&M game, I know he had he had a few bad spots in that game. He did. You could half and half it. But the good things that I saw from that kid, I jumped on the Miro train last year. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting in that Texas game this year when they beat us home, and my daddy and uncle were like, you're an idiot. Yeah, they need to get in. I said, y'all shut your mouth. The kid's going to be just fine. Because, man, my family, like my granddaddy, back when he was alive, It's so superstitious around here. When you and that Iron Bowl, you come in, you sit in one seat, you don't move that seat. You do not. You don't answer a phone call, or if you do, you leave the house and you don't come back. That's how it was with him. So, I've been growing up in Alabama blood my whole life, and literally, this is the best. Not just an Alabama fan, but as a college football fan in general. If you love the game of football, if you played the game of football, you need to take a step back, get outside the box real quick that we're in as these Alabama fans, and look and see at what we're getting to witness right now in college football.
Preach.
It's like the whole game has changed from – I was just watching the 92 Sugar Bowl. I meant the 92 Miami-Bama game that transferred into the BCS era. Man, that football was played different back then. Mm-hmm. You knew what they were running. They were either running or going to throw a pie pass. But now the game has changed, and we have a coach that has said, okay, I'll take everything that y'all got to throw at me, and then I'm going to do the best that I can do at it. And just fortunately enough for us, his best has been the best in college football history. So, man, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be able to be on your show because I haven't been on the podcast stuff for a while, but you're the first person I started listening to, and I was like, man, this guy's breaking this stuff down pretty different. So I've been following you. I've been following you for about a year now, man. It's been a blessing, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you bring up a really good point. I mean, the world of college football right now has completely changed from that point in time. I mean, that's why, you can't compare teams from like the 70s or the 80s compared to like what's happening right now, just because the athletes are different, the coaching is different. There's a lot more speed in today's game, and not to take away anything from the great teams of the past. It's just like this is a different world of college football. But what's amazing to me at this point in time is, so I've been in Tuscaloosa. I lived there. I started living there at the beginning of 2017. And think about that particular time. You didn't have the transfer portal. You didn't have name, image, and likeness. And Coach Saban was still winning at that level. So when I moved into Tuscaloosa, they had just lost to Clemson in the national title game. So since I've been in Tuscaloosa, I've covered, 4 national title games. And now you start to see the Alabama, is vying, into the playoffs again. So he's 6-1 in semifinals in the playoffs. And, looking at a national title run again. And he's able to do this with all of the changing parts of college football, which I think makes it even more impressive, right? Think about your schedule today, okay? We're scheduled. Like, I was stressed out before my show making these graphics, thinking about, everything with recruiting. But Coach Saban is having to deal with what we see on the screen right now. You're going to land a 2024 recruit who wants name, image, and likeness. How do you deal with Ryan Williams' family or Perry Thompson's family and all the moms that you have to talk to and talk about your program? But at the same time, you have kids coming in your office. Hey, coach, can I talk to you about my place in the organization? I'm thinking about going to the transfer portal. Yeah. And then on top of that, you have your SID coming in and be like, hey, coach, we have practice at 2 p.m. for the Rose Bowl. And by the way, we're playing number 1 Michigan. So, man, it's amazing that Coach Saban is able to – he's the ultimate CEO. Because when you're at that level, being able to deal with all of those aspects and compartmentalize the schematics of Michigan's game plan. And look, I know it's heavy that Alabama beats Michigan, but we cannot sleep on any of these teams that have made it to this point in time. Michigan didn't start playing a game up until November when they played Penn State or Ohio State, but that's a good football team. Coach Saban would be completely pissed off to think if Alabama's going to run right through Michigan. That defense is really solid, and Jim Harbaugh is a good coach, whether you think he's weird or not, because he is a little bit odd, but man, he can coach. Sure enough. And, he certainly wants to be able to beat Alabama. That's a major program. That's a major brand. You're talking about two, of the most iconic football programs. Think about it. You have Texas, iconic program, Michigan, iconic program, Alabama, iconic, and then Washington. I don't think they're an iconic program, but they got a really good quarterback and a really good offense, and I think all those teams kind of have a chip on their shoulder. What else you got, Aaron, when you kind of look at either recruiting or going into the Rose Bowl? And I've been asking people who are their X factors for the Rose Bowl, and pick the winner between Washington and Texas.
So I'll start from where you went with me. It's Texas, man. I can't. What they did to Bama week 2, they've come out of some squeaked wins. They've struggled sometimes, so they know what it's like. I just don't think that Penix has seen a defensive line that's going to be able to put pressure on him, and then I don't think that Washington's secondary has had any wide receivers that are going to, even Texas, I think they got one out, but they've still got they're stacked in that wide receiver room over there, bro. And those are some dudes over there. Them ain't none of this Pac-12 West stuff. These are some dudes that are like, hey, I'm going to block you and I'm going to shove you on the ground. Next play, I'm going to run straight past you, My thing with the recruitment, it's changed too. So the way that we looked at recruits back 10 years ago, you can't even look at them the same. This Ryan Williams, you're the one who highlighted him to me. I never heard a word about him, and that's crazy up until a week ago until you started highlighting him, and then I went and watched his stuff. Man, this dude's a freak, man.
Oh, yeah.
But in this day and age, and so I don't get my heart into recruitment era football as much as I used to, because when A.J. McCarron signed, he signed, and you knew he was coming. Ryan Williams, he might end up at Washington after 3 transfers. We don't know, but I'm excited that he's got Alabama and that he's verbally committed to Alabama and all of these guys that we have in this. But, man, they say take it, to steady drop, where's a hole in the rocks, what my daddy's grandmama used to say. So we just stay steady at it, man. We've got the best coach college football's ever seen. So
100%.
As long as we stay steady after it, man, and the fans that can be there at these games, man, keep showing support. Yep. But then my last thing, man, you were just saying it about the athletes these days. I was watching, and Bama fans on here, if you haven't yet, look it up on YouTube. It's called Alabama Greats. It's got all the Alabama greats. The Eli Gold's on there, Mal Moore's on there. Got all these dudes that played Alabama football. Yep. One of them was talking about you couldn't weigh over a certain weight or hit kick. Bear Bryant would kick you off the team back then. Guys, if you weighed 200 pounds and played football back then, you were something serious because you had to play all areas of football. So I just love talking to my dad and seeing how much the game has changed, and him being a part of the change. He don't know what's left or right, but he still says, man, look at what Saban's doing, man. He just knows. He just knows what to do. He knows what cards he wants to pull. And when he decides to pull them, us fans we can be rest assured that he's going to make the right call, man. I got Bama beating Michigan. Yeah, we can't take them lightly, but let me tell you something. When Dallas Turner and Braswell turn loose on this little quarterback they got from Michigan, man, I'm telling you, there's been 3 quarterbacks, and I'm not about hurting players because I played myself in Jemison, Alabama. I got hurt, all this stuff. I don't want nobody getting hurt, but I'm just saying, we've had 3 quarterbacks that hadn't fully made a whole full game because of our defensive ends,
Yeah. Hey, Aaron. Well, I appreciate you calling in, man. Definitely call it again. Anytime this week. I'm live 9 a.m. Central Time. So, I appreciate you calling in, man, and sharing your contact with me, man. Appreciate it.
One thing I never got to hit to, Kyle, was, man, when I first started listening to you, I appreciated how you shared your faith, man, that you go to church and that you want to, the things that you strive for, man, to be a better man of God. Well, just real quick, I ain't getting into nothing real big because I know it's your channel, but I got rescued about 10 years ago. I was a dope fiend, man. God rescued my life, so I have an album on YouTube. Check it out in your own time. It's under Aaron Lawson. Okay. The name of the album is called Blind No More, man. It's cool. It's on YouTube. Just check it out if you like good music, man.
All right, man. I appreciate it, man. Happy for you too, man. All right, man. Take it easy, Aaron.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Kyle.
All right, man.
All right,
see you. All right. Aaron with the good call. I never even heard of that city before. I appreciate that, he has a really good connection, spirituality. I think, whatever, walk of life you're in, look, you definitely, benefit from having a really good circle, a family, or a higher spirituality. I mean, it's so important. So look, we've all been there, and that's great to hear, and I appreciate the calling. And again, if the stream is a little bit choppy, look, if you've ever been to New Mexico's built different. Like, this is the wow. I'm surprised I can even do the show, remotely, because look, New Mexico doesn't care about the internet. Like, it's outside. I'm at 7,000 feet right now. There's mountains and snowing. But I hopefully the audio is good and stuff like that. And, we'll gut past it until we get out to LA. And I don't think LA will have any trouble, but I appreciate you guys being here, and I appreciate the call, Aaron. Good call. All right. We got a 256. So we'll take it right now. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
This is Timmy from Nebraska. I'll talk to you a few times.
What's up, Timmy? I appreciate you, man. Hey, first of all, I have to ask you, man. What did it feel like that Kyle McCord was a lock? And did you? I mean, do you now feel that Dylan Raiola is going, out to Nebraska? And I don't even know if you're a Nebraska fan, but just maybe since you're in, the state, you kind of have ear to the ground. What's your take on that quarterback situation out there?
Yeah, I'm a Bama fan, but I did a little bit of research on it. I heard he was transferring from Ohio State, and I know them Cornhusker fans was like excited for him. And as soon as I didn't even know he transferred to Syracuse until you said something about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the world? Like, that would have been a big win for Nebraska because they definitely need a good quarterback. Because they got a good defense, but they just need a good offense, and they'll win at least 8 games again. So
The worst thing
I was shocked. I thought.
Yeah, the worst thing to happen to Nebraska, because Nebraska is always there, it's I guess another because we think back to Nebraska when they were like rolling and stuff like that, and they have so much great fan support and all their stuff that they do. But the worst thing to happen to Nebraska was that Colorado got all this notoriety because Colorado and Nebraska are like heated rivals. And as soon as Coach Prime went over there, I mean, what a chess move by the AD because Nebraska was like, why can't we have this? Not to say that Colorado won all these games or whatever, but they made, you don't think about Nebraska anymore. So I don't know, it's always seemed to be like they need a good quarterback, but Kyle McCord now going to Syracuse was definitely strange to me. And who knows what will happen with the Dylan Raiola situation. Anyways, what's on your mind as we kind of head into this big week of recruiting and start to look at the Rose Bowl? What are your thoughts? And welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here.
I'm more excited about the Rose Bowl. I'm not really into recruiting much because I know Nick Saban, he's going to get his 5-star. I know we're going to be packed. The only two recruits, I should say, that I'm really excited for is Julian Saying and Ron Williams. I want to see what Julian does after Jalen goes to the NFL next year. I'm super hyped about that combo with Julian and Ron Williams. I think that would be a deadly combo. But I think I was listening to one of your shows or somebody else's, but I saw that Nick Saban hired a former Michigan linebackers coach, and I'm like, oh, man, he's pulling the tricks again. And I think that's going to be huge because he knows that guy from Michigan knows that defense. So I think Nick Saban is going to be, picking at him a little bit to get all the information he can about Michigan. So I was kind of nervous about that Michigan game, but after that, I'm kind of like more confident in winning now. So that's my take on the Alabama Michigan game. But the Texas and Washington game, that game's going to be a shootout. It's going to be the first one of 52 probably is going to win. I mean, Texas has a horrible back-end secondary, and Washington can't defend really anything other than the run. So it's going. We got some good playoff games this year for once.
Yeah, I do like the matchups when you look to Texas and Washington. I've been saying that I feel that Texas is going to be able to run away with the game, but I've been surprised by the amount of people that have felt that Washington was going to win this game. So who knows? I mean, I'm picking Texas 100%. I really haven't wavered on that pick going into this game. And I think you have a great point with Alabama and Coach Saban, bringing up a chess move with landing George Hilo, who I think he coached at Alabama, and then he went to Michigan. He was with Michigan from 2021 to 2022, and then separated from Michigan and then was available to be and I don't know what aspect or what he'll be able to come, to Alabama to coach, because you can have so many staff assistants. I don't think he's going to be one of the main but with that said, you think about this, like Hutzler, who was the outside linebackers coach, he just got hired as a DC at Mississippi State. So maybe after the season, we'll learn that he's going to be the new outside linebackers coach. I have no idea, but maybe like you lose one coach and you add another. I mean, you simply like put 2 and 2 together. Who knows? So yeah, I appreciate you bringing up that. But Coach Saban always playing chess, and I think that that might be like the legit way of sign stealing, so to speak. But Coach Saban, they'll start dialing in from Michigan, and I love love this setup with Alabama and Michigan because I think that Alabama's defense is built to stop Michigan's offense. And what I mean by that is Michigan is a team that is built off running the football. Blake Corum is a really good running back. I didn't realize that he had, 24 rushing touchdowns or something like that. Their quarterback is in my opinion, he's a good quarterback. I know a lot of people have been hard on him, but I think he is a pretty good quarterback, to be honest. But Alabama's defense, think about this, and I pointed this out on my last show, I think last week. Alabama has, they have 3 first-team All-Americans, let's say 4 if you add in Chris Broswell. So you have Dallas Turner, first-team All-American, Terrion Arnold, first-team All-American, Kool-Aid JaQuincy McKinstry, first-team All-American, and then Chris Broswell, who's slated to be a first-round draft pick in the NFL. So we could put it like that: 4 first-round draft picks on the Alabama defensive side. I think that's going to be really the changing point in that game when you look to the Rose Bowl matchup. I think Alabama's defense is going to be able to really stop Michigan. And then you look on the offensive side, and that's why I'm asking about X factors. We all know Jalen Milroe. Michigan has not faced a quarterback like Jalen Milroe. Nobody has at this point in the season, outside of Texas, who already played him head-to-head, but he's a completely different quarterback from at that point of the season. Anything else you got, Timmy, why I got you on the show?
Not really. Just really excited about the playoffs. And I saw a little tweet or something like that. Georgia is suing the College Football Playoff Committee, trying to get the Georgia and the Florida State game added to the playoffs, and then it's just Florida State and Georgia fans are just salty right now. Like, it's been about 2-3 weeks now, and they still can't get over the fact that Alabama earned that number 4 spot, and that they had bylaws, stating that Florida State wasn't going to be as good, going into the playoffs, and they're still crying about it. So,
yeah,
I don't get it, man.
Yeah, I think, with the state senator for Georgia coming out and saying that the Orange Bowl should be a part of the college football playoffs, I think that was really laughable. And I don't know how much is coming from Kirby Smart. I haven't heard one word about Kirby saying that they should be part of the playoffs or that he's even backing that. And the same thing for Mike Norvell. I think once Mike Norvell was pissed off and he said kind of his words, it was more about the Attorney General, Ashley Moody, kind of taking things into her own hands and really, starting that antitrust investigation into the College Football Playoff Committee. But look, if you're those 2 programs, you focus on the Orange Bowl. But the craziest thing for Georgia, and I guess we really haven't even talked about this on the show, is 17 guys or whatever have entered the transfer portal from Georgia, which is crazy to think about. Like, you get all these guys, you're building up your program, you've won 29 of the last 30 games. Can you imagine if Alabama kind of had this fallout? But then again, you're thinking about it. I mean, Alabama had how many guys? They had 16 or 17 guys that were transferred out as well. So sometimes those guys are a process, but when you look to the guys that Georgia, has lost, I mean, man, there's been some 5-star guys, 4-star guys, heavily recruited guys that are transferring from Georgia back into the portal. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to track going forward where those guys land, but that's just kind of the world we live in. Timmy, I appreciate the call in, man. Thank you very much. Call in again anytime, and I appreciate the support.
No problem, man. I hope you have a good one.
Yeah, you too, man. Take it easy. That's Timmy. Next up, we got Demetrius. We'll go right into it. Hey, Demetrius, I appreciate you being patient, man. Welcome to the show, and thanks for calling in.
Good morning, Calvin. How y'all
You're
doing?
kind of low coming in, Demetrius. Turn up the volume, man.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
Oh,
yes.
I had my headset down. Yeah. Good morning, Calvin, Alabama family. I just come in, do my normal thing. Love calling into the show, love running my mouth, and I'm gonna go ahead and dive right into it. As far as the 2 playoff games coming up, I believe Michigan gonna come out and try to throw every little wrinkle, but in the end, we're gonna prevail. I believe, I do, in my heart of heart, think it's personal with Coach Saban because the way, Jim Harbaugh came back into college football and just, disrespecting him. I mean, everything about Coach Saban, and I don't even like it. As a fan, I don't even like it. I mean, it was totally uncalled for. And we just got better horses than Michigan do. Them young men are playing lights out football. And the Texas and Washington, I want Texas to win to get that so we can run it again with them. But I mean, I know everybody hyping up Texas and but I went over this weekend. I watched some of. Hey, ain't no quitting that in that Washington team. And
Mm-hmm.
plus they did beat them last year, so that lets them know mentally that I mean, cause Texas was rolling pretty good on offense last year and they still beat them.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have
So
been pointing that out. The
I,
fact that the two
I,
teams played last year. I mean, it's like the same thing. I mean, you could say that Michigan and Alabama played in the Citrus Bowl, many years ago, whatever. I mean, it's just like the past doesn't dictate the future. I mean, I feel that this Texas team is like Alabama in the sense that they're a buzzsaw. I just think that Alabama and Texas are going to play in the national title game. I mean, I've been saying that for a long time. I just think that Texas defense is super underrated. I think that Washington, the fact that they're suspect on defense, I would suspect Jarvis, hit me up with the point total for Texas and Washington. Is it what, 75 points or something like that? I think there's going to be a lot of points in the game, but I think Texas is able to come out on top. So we'll just kind of, wait and see on that. Hey, Demetrius, who are your X factors for the Rose Bowl? Let's go outside of Jalen Milroe. Who does Alabama need to get the football to, either on offense or defense?
on offense, you gotta Isaiah Bond, 007 Bond.
Yep.
Hey, that young man playing on fire right now. I mean he's these last several games. I mean, before our eyes, he's been, at least me myself personally, he can go down as one of the greats. If he continues from here forward to next year, he can go down to as one of the greats to come out here. I see he playing at an unbelievable level in my opinion at this point in time. And on defense, I'm gonna give it to one of the. I've been high on him all year. Um, Tim Keenan, the interior,
Yeah.
because him, this big physical, incredible Hulk offensive line that Michigan got, and look, hey, come on, Kyle, hey. I mean, you playing marshmallows up there in the Big Ten, and don't do that. And that's but Tennessee Texas beat us, and they're buzz off, but you buzz saw as cupcakes. Michigan State, TCU. I mean, you buzz saw in them teams. I mean, it's always been you in the West out there. You and the tumbleweed. You done seen tumbleweed many times. That tumbleweed can be something. It's wild West out
It's
there in the Big 12. It always have, like I say, like Hector told Smokey. I done said it before. I'm gonna say it again. You want to smoke the big boys? Hey, y'all gonna shoot? Hey, Texas. You better put up 60 points a game for now.
so
Because next year moving forward, hey, it ain't gonna be. You better be playing Vanderbilt all year long. That's the only thing I can say.
Demetrius
And as
brings
far as
up. Go ahead, Demetrius. Keep going. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna land my plane on this one and let you get smoke callers getting in, Kyle.
Okay.
And as far as that transfer portal, eventually, they're gonna have to tame it. It's getting out of control, and
yes,
it's getting way too out of control. Cause it just don't make no sense the way companies they want to buy the unproven talent. It's like Michael Jordan said, you got guys coming in the league, they want this much, and you ain't done nothing. And pretty soon, you just ain't gonna take no rich man money. I'm gonna take your $2 million and then I'm gonna transfer the next year because I ain't happy here and ain't getting no playing time.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's gonna roll over to your outside influences telling the head coaches, you going to play this player because I said so. And it's going to,
Yeah.
and then you got the gambling aspect on how it's going to mess up the lines on, and that's where it really going, all the other stuff don't matter. The gambling lines, you messing up Vegas money, that's where it's going to come in. So I'm gonna let you listen to some more. I got to make this delivery right quick, Kyle. Roll Tide, and y'all be safe out there. Have a blessed rest of your day.
All right, man. Take it easy, man. All right, Demetrius calling in from North Carolina. I appreciate it. We got a 334 in the call queue, and I'll get to you guys in just a second. Demetrius cracked me up because he's talking about the West with the tumbleweeds. So I had to tell you a tumbleweed story real quick. So if you've ever been to New Mexico or Arizona, like I can only speak on New Mexico. I mean, I've been to Arizona, a ton of times, but I've lived, I'm from New Mexico. I'm in Santa Fe right now, but when I had a house in Albuquerque, there was this humongous field outside of the house, and these tumbleweeds, I'm not kidding you, they would just hit my house again and again and again, so much so that they would stack in front of my house that it became like almost like an everyday chore to be able to get these tumbleweeds out. But the craziest thing is in Albuquerque, so we have like tornadoes in Tuscaloosa, right? It's like we're always under a tornado watch or tornado warning. They have tumbleweed tornadoes. I kid you not. They're kind of like dust devils, if you know what that is, with like a dust devil but like with tumbleweeds. And tumbleweeds are terrible because they have those little thorns. It's like, man, it's the West is wild. I love it out here. Plus, I've been getting my breakfast burrito fix on. So we'll take our next caller, which is a 334. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle.
Hey, what's going on?
Who am I on
This
the
is
line
Kyle.
with? Yeah, who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from? For whatever reason, I have to say that it like makes the show go better. But Kyle, where are you calling in from?
What's good, man? I'm calling in from Montgomery, Alabama.
And did you say your name was Kyle?
Yes. This is Kyle.
Kyle calling in from Montgomery. All right, we got two Kyles on the line. I appreciate you calling in from Montgomery, man. What's on your mind,
Yeah.
man? Thank you for calling in and welcome in, man.
Oh, what's good, man? Yo, I just gotta say, first of all, love the show, love everything you do, man. The creativity and the attention to detail that you put into your shows is simply amazing, bro. Like no one does it like you, so I appreciate the show.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
I'm gonna say, man. Oh, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna say, people do not understand. I don't think people understand the depth nor the extensive attention to detail that Saban is about to apply in preparation. Really, I'm gonna say for both games because I believe we're gonna take care of business with Michigan. Dude, as far as the prediction for the two teams, I'm gonna take Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I just believe Steve Sarkisian is too much of a mastermind at play calling. He's just too much of a mastermind. And you got Ewers back, moderate health. I guess he's healthy. And you just have the team, and they're ready. He's too much of a mastermind for play calling. So I'm gonna take him. And of course, I believe we're gonna take care of business with Michigan. Yeah, I believe people don't understand. People don't understand what's about to happen, man.
You know what? And someone, we're on the line with Kyle from Montgomery, Alabama, and you can go back and watch some of my shows. And I think I said this last year that somebody close to the program told me that Saban was about to like go on this like epic run that he hasn't been on before. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But now you see what he was this year. Just like Aaron was saying earlier in the show, what Coach Saban is able, I don't think any other coach in America could do what Coach Saban did with this team. Not to say that this team doesn't have elite talent, but think about it, like a new DC, a new OC, and I think so many people, because it's happened at Alabama so many times, they're like, oh, it's Coach Saban, he'll figure it out, he'll do a good job. No, try this, try having different kids one year and try having a different wife one year. You know what I'm saying? Like those are like these are elements to your program, to your organization. Like it just doesn't blend well. You have and think about it. It's such a short span that he's able to transform this team, right? From August to September to October, November, December. Like it's been remarkable. And I think that Coach Saban, the unfortunate thing, and he probably doesn't give two craps about this, but like these awards, these postseason awards and stuff like that, because if you like us, we're following the team every single day, to be able to see how he's been able to coach this team at this level, to transform this team, transform this quarterback that nobody believed in. It's amazing. And I'm with you, man. I think that Steve Sarkisian is just too creative of a chef that he'll be able to beat. And that's going to be a great battle offensively, because you have Washington's OC is Coach Saban wanted that guy 100%. I mean, he even brought him out here, but he was like, I got a pretty good quarterback in Michael Penix, so I'm gonna chill, and paid off for him. But I'm with you. I think Texas is able to beat Washington, but just kind of getting back to Saban. I mean, the more and more you think about it, and if you really zoom out and look at everything that he's been able to do this year in particularly, man. We are watching like a true Netflix series right now. This is not like, how can this be real where we're at? So like, if you can appreciate it and you can step back, just appreciate it, because what's happening right now, people are going to be talking about this period of time in 10, 15, 20 years down the road about this team and about Saban, about this current time frame. So anyways, man.
Right.
What else you got, Kyle?
But and no, and you're right. And I'm gonna just say, first off, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go back to the discussion about Saban. Man, dude, I don't think people understand what he's doing, what Nick Saban has done and is currently doing at the University of Alabama. It almost like his appetite and his aptitude and his like, like his I don't know, like his mindset towards success is something that's really just remarkable and unique among all endeavors.
Yeah,
whether you're talking about sports or outside, it's crazy.
And the thing about it is,
it's crazy.
To build on Saban, and not that he needs any more people to gas him up, but truly one of the things that sets him apart is the fact that he's always studying. He's always reading books. He's not on Instagram. He's not on TikTok. What he's doing, and this goes so well, and I love this fact from the Pat McAfee show, and I think that was a good move to have him on that show to, in terms of like popular culture and as popular as YouTube is becoming, having him on that platform was a really great move from a PR standpoint. But what I think is really amazing is the fact that he really studies human behavior, and that is connected straight to coaching, towards mentorship, and he does meet with a sports psychologist every single week to figure out like what is the message that we need to deliver to the teams, to his roster, right? And that's something that I think really sets him apart, is the fact that he's really big into human behavior and understands that. And I think that certainly helped him specifically around this time of year where there's so many different moving parts. I would love to see, because I'm a pretty organized individual, and I think I have to be able to perform at the highest level. I have goals, I have aspirations. There's things that I want to do at a daily level, but I would just love to see Coach Saban's schedule, like from 6 a.m. to like 8 p.m. Like all of it, hour by hour, all this stuff. I don't. You let me ask you. You think Coach Saban is just wandering around? No. What should I do next? No. I bet it is so organized, and I bet it's no. And I've said this before.
Yeah.
Coach Saban wears the same sweatshirts and kind of the same gear. So sometimes, like on my YouTube shows, I know what he's going to wear like on Wednesday night. So I'll go ahead and like get a picture from last Wednesday and put it up there so I can like update it, the night before, because I know what Coach is going to wear. It's going to be he wears this kind of like, it's like a jacket without a hoodie that he wears on Wednesday night when he comes in hot on his Wednesday night press conferences. He's on a routine.
Yeah, man. Dude, his schedule is just his schedule, and everything about how he operates is just so singular. You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
Whatever you have to say, whatever praise you have to heap upon the team, whatever criticism you have to levy against the team, there's an impenetrable barrier. Like, he doesn't see or let any of it affect him. And I'm gonna just say this before I close out, bro. I believe that, with all that being said, Saban is, I don't know if you're a big movie fan, but Saban, you remember in Terminator 2?
Of course.
The Liquid Terminator?
Yep.
That had the ability to like transform into anything.
Yeah.
Saban is like the Liquid Terminator, dude. He's going to have them prepared for whatever he's so well prepared. Well, their shoestrings are going to be tied at the same length, like across the team. Like, and I believe Steve Sarkisian is going to take care of Washington. When we meet up in a rematch, I think you're going to see college football and all of its chess moves at its absolute finest.
100%. Yeah. Yep. That's I think that's what we're aiming for. So Kyle, I appreciate the call so much, man. Thank you for calling from Montgomery. Do me a favor, man. I really appreciate the context. So save the number and please call in again. I'm on live Monday through Friday, and of course as news happens, but at 9 a.m. Central Time. I really appreciate you calling in from Montgomery, and I really appreciate you rapping with me this morning. And by the way, good first name, man.
Oh, absolutely, man. You know, we're cool guys, so you know
Yep,
what I'm saying, that
Kyle.
runs in common. But all right,
Yeah.
man, yo, I thank you, and I appreciate the show.
All
Thanks,
right,
Kyle.
man. Take it easy. All right. Okay. All right. That was Kyle calling in from Montgomery. Yeah, I think this is quite the epic run, and I was thinking about what Kyle was saying about the Terminator. So remember, okay, for all you movie fans that have watched Terminator 2, remember on the movie poster, and I think I've said this before, but William Anderson, who graduated last year and is now playing for the Texans, he was referred to as the Terminator. And the reason he got that nickname was because he was so disruptive on the defensive side at practice. And who gave him that nickname was Steve Sarkisian, right? So he goes out, and the movie poster has like a red eye, kind of one of those robots has like a red eye. And then guess who has the red eye this year? It's Coach Saban. So I was thinking about somehow this transfer from the Terminator to Coach Saban or something like that. I was thinking about that. I was like, man, Coach Saban's the Terminator. All right, 850, let's do it. Hey, thanks for calling in. You're online with Kyle Henderson. Who online with him? Where are you calling in from?
This is Hayden from Colorado.
Hey, Hayden, what's up, man? I appreciate it. Man, the friendly neighbor up north. I'm in here in New Mexico. You're calling in from Colorado, man. So I appreciate you joining the show. Did you say it was Hayden?
Yeah.
All right, Hayden, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome on in, man, and take it away.
Oh, yeah, I did want to mention I am actually from Alabama. I was born and raised in Alabama. I just actually moved to Colorado. But yeah, I just want to talk about this Michigan game, man. I'm tired of hearing the interior, the offensive line. I just don't understand it. The Big Ten, I think it's weak.
Mm-hmm.
I think us playing Georgia is really gonna help us for this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't, Michigan played Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I just don't see like you say, man. I've been watching for weeks the gauntlet of the schedules
Yes.
that are in the SEC. That we had to play just to get here. I just wanted to talk about that for a minute, and just the gauntlet.
Hayden, you bring up a great point because we were talking about this earlier. Which team is more battle tested? I guess out of all of these teams, and the reason I say Alabama isn't like a homer type, assessment. Think about it. I mean, think about the offensive minds. Who's really battle tested is the Alabama defense out of everybody, because they went against Steve Sarkisian. They went against Lane Kiffin. Tennessee's offense was much better than I anticipated. They went against the Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels this year, right? You go against Georgia and you Brock Bowers and be able to, the first drive from Georgia against Alabama, I was a little bit nervous. Now, I thought that Georgia, they would be able to get the ball to Brock Bowers, and Ladd would be a problem all game long, and the quarterback was balling out, and that he had only been sacked 10 times going into that game. Alabama they've been making second half adjustments all season long, but they made like a first half adjustment in that game. Like Brock Bowers, people are probably going to say, oh, he wasn't 100%. No, I think they just had a great game plan, and the two bootlegs that killed Alabama, they quickly flipped the switch on that, and they were able to shut down Georgia's offense. And specifically, they came up big on third and short. So this defense has been tested over the top. They've went against a team that can run the football. I mean, I get it. Hugh Freeze is another offensive mastermind that they deal like. People don't understand his offensive creativity as well. Throw him into the mix. He was able to post 244 rushing yards against Alabama. So is this team battle tested? Yeah, overall 100%. They went on to win on the road at College Station. They went on to win in Atlanta in the backyard of Georgia. So this team is certainly battle tested, and specifically with the adversity that this team has felt, because I made a video way back in the summertime. People thought that this team was vulnerable. People thought that they could play with this team. People thought that they could beat this team, and this team absolutely has superseded all those expectations. To see them now aiming for a Rose Bowl game against Michigan, they still are the underdog in some sense. I think Vegas still has them Michigan favored, but like you, man, this team is certainly battle tested. So I just kind of had to build on that because I thought you brought up a great point right there.
Yeah, I just definitely wanted to speak about that because, I mean, yeah, that it's been a gauntlet. But I want to talk about this running back situation for the class of 2025.
Yep.
I know we've got it's a really interesting running back room because McClellan could come back.
Yes.
Roydell could come back.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course we've got Richard Young, and then we've got we've got Jan Miller, and then we've got
Justice Haynes.
22.
Justice
Yeah,
Haynes.
Haynes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in the running back room. What's going to happen? I know we're looking at that running back from Tuscaloosa County.
Yep. Kevin Riley.
No, yeah, him, and then isn't it a Lacey?
Yeah, I don't think that Lacey's in the mix anymore. I think it's Jordan Baugh or maybe like a Daniel Hill. I don't know. So with you, like I opened up the show talking about the running back room. I think that Alabama does take a running back, but see the thing that's made it so challenging, I think, at this situation is the fact that these guys have a COVID year, Jason Roydell, and their seniors, they could come back, and the fact that Alabama's season isn't over yet. So these guys, look, one of these guys could pop off and continue to improve their draft stock, but let's face it, like, okay, and this isn't a knock on Jace, and this isn't a knock on Roydell by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm just saying that those guys, running backs are a dime a dozen in the NFL. That's why you don't see a lot of them drafted in the first round. I think Josh Jacobs and Jahmyr Gibbs were a different level. And no disrespect to Roydell or Jace, but those guys, Jahmyr Gibbs and Josh Jacobs were better than Roydell and Jace, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. So if those guys coming back to play another year, if they get another NIL deal or something like that, why not come back? So that makes the running back room full. And as you said, you have Jan Miller, Justice Haynes, and Richard Young. It's a crowded running back room. So while they probably want to take a running back, I don't necessarily think they need to. I'm with you. I'm really curious to see what they do from a running back standpoint as well.
Yeah, and then the Texas and Washington game. I think I'm gonna take Texas in that game, but I do want to say that watching them play, Oregon twice, that was two good games, and Washington, I think they have the offense to compete with Texas, but when it comes to the defense, I don't know what they're gonna be able to do. I've got Texas winning that game, and then, I've got Texas winning that one. The sweat guy in the middle, and then, on the offensive end, they've got Sarkisian, they've got decent receivers, a decent running back. I just don't think Washington will end up beating Texas. Now, I think they can compete on offense, like I said, but when it comes to defense, I don't know how well they'll fare against Texas.
Yeah, I'm with you in that aspect. And I think that the biggest thing is Texas defense is really underrated. I mean, we saw them way back in week 2, and I know, teams have changed or transformed or whatever, but I mean, Texas defense, they're ferocious, and their secondary is really good. And I think that they'll be able to match up with Washington well. I think the X factors in that game, clearly the quarterback from Washington, his accuracy, his deep ball accuracy, I mean, the guy can certainly spin it. I think their defense is suspect. So, we'll kind of, watch how that game plays out, but I'm excited for it 100%. I think these are really good matchups, the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl, and I'm curious about the Orange Bowl too, to see how that kind of shakes out with Florida State and Georgia, considering all the things that have been swirling around that game. But whatever the case, anything else, Hayden, that you want to hit on, man, before we bounce out?
Oh yeah, last thing, that Georgia and the Florida State thing, my goodness, man. I remember missing the playoffs last year as a diehard Bama fan, and we didn't do that. I just don't get it with this game.
Yes.
It's
I
so
know.
funny.
Oh man, can you imagine if like a state senator from Alabama was to say that Alabama deserves a seat at the table? Can you imagine if Alabama filed like an antitrust? That would never. Who would put the kibosh on that? Saban. Saban would be so furious about this stuff. And again, I don't know if Norvell or
Right.
Kirby, but these guys like Ashley Moody, the Attorney General, and I forget the guy's name from Georgia, but they're doing that because like they want to step up, and who knows if it's a political play or whatever, but they're trying to like protect those programs or step up. But Saban, like, don't do that. You lose, you don't make it. That's it. And that's adversity, and that's a great teaching moment. And I think that the fact that Alabama didn't make the playoffs last year made this team really pissed off coming into this year, right? Because you're like, look, we didn't make the playoffs. They didn't think that we were one of the top 4 teams. They thought that TCU was better than us. So coming into the season, you had some added reverse rat poison. And Coach Saban probably knew. He was like, look, I'm going to need some coaching points for this team because they're sophomoric. I got a sophomore quarterback coming in that's only started in 1 game, right, against Texas A&M. I got a offensive coordinator who's 30 years old. I got a DC who's 67 years old. I got a lot of components on defense, but I need some reverse rat poison. And how about not making the playoffs? So let's see if that can fire them up. So, yeah, you're right, man. Like, I can't even imagine if Coach Saban, and he said, I think he said that, they should have made the playoffs. But after that, it was like, look, we didn't make the playoffs. Focus on the Sugar Bowl. And they went out. And what was crazy is they played their best game all season long against Kansas State. That was a complete game.
Right.
Man, amazing. So, yeah, I'm with you, man.
Yeah. Roll Tide.
Yeah, roll tide team, man.
Roll Tide.
Cool, man. All right, man. Take it easy, Hayden.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too, man. All right, take it easy.
Take it.
All right. All right, fam. I appreciate you guys. If I didn't get to you guys inside the call queue, remember, I'll be on live tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time, as well as Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I appreciate you guys joining me today. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys being part of this 98,000 community right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Let's get to 100,000. I will talk to you guys as news happens. Definitely stay tuned for our YouTube shorts that pop up and any type of other videos that we upload right here to the channel. We're getting closer to Christmas. We're getting closer to signing day, which is Wednesday. We're getting closer to the Rose Bowl. So a lot to go over as we continue to navigate through this incredible 2023 season. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, and I'll be back to you right here on our YouTube channel. Coming to you from beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube.